grab your comfy, cozy chair, pull up your legs, sit. Ooh, there we go. The story can't sit crisscross applesauce today, apparently. All right. So, we left off. Ramona rode the school bus, and there's a not so nice kid who took her eraser. And he played with her eraser with a couple other boys. And he eventually gave it back whenever Ramona stood up for herself. And Ramona liked her non-fussy teacher. So this is Chapter 2, At Howie's House. "Now be nice to Willa Jean," said Mrs. Quimby as she handed Ramona her lunchbox. "Grown-ups often forget that no child likes to be ordered to be nice to another child." Ramona made a face. "Mother, do you have to say that every single morning?" she asked in exasperation, which means, frustration. Deep down inside, where she hid her darkest secrets, Ramona sometimes longed to be horrid to Willa Jean. Okay, I'll try to remember," said Mrs. Quimby with a little laugh. "I know it isn't easy." She kissed Ramona and said, "Cheer up and run along or you'll miss your bus." Being a member of the Quimby family in the 3rd grade was harder than Ramona had expected. Her father was often tired, in a hurry, or studying on the dining room table, which meant no one could disturb him by watching television. At school, she was still not sure how she felt about Mrs. Whaley. Liking a teacher was important, Ramona had discovered when she was in the 1st grade. And even though her family understood, Ramona still dreaded that part of the day spent at Howie's house in the company of Mrs. Kemp and Willa Jean. Those were the bad parts of the 3rd grade. There were good parts, too. Ramona enjoyed riding the bus to school, and she enjoyed keeping Yard 8 from getting the best of her. Then, another good part of the 3rd grade began the 2nd week of school. Just before her class was to make its weekly visit to the school library, Mrs. Whaley announced, "Today and from now on, we are going to have sustained silent reading every day." Ramona liked the sound of sustained silent reading, even though she was not sure what it meant, because it sounded important. Mrs. Whaley continued, "This means that every day after lunch, we are going to sit at our desks and read silently to ourselves any book we choose in the library." "Even mysteries?" someone asked. "Even mysteries," said Mrs. Whaley. "Do we have to give book reports on what we read?" asked one suspicious member of the class. "No book reports on your sustained silent reading books," Mrs. Whaley promised the class. Then she went on, "I don't think sustained silent reading sounds very interesting, so I think we will call it something else." Here she printed 4 big letters on the blackboard, and as she pointed, she read out DEAR. Can anyone guess what those letters stand for? The class thought and thought. "Do everything all right?" suggested someone. A good thought, but not the right answer. "Don't need a reader?" suggested Yard 8. Mrs. Whaley laughed and told him to try again. As Ramona thought, she stared out the window at the blue sky, the treetops, and in the distance, the snow-capped peak of Mount Hood, looking like a giant licked ice cream cone. R could stand for run, and A for and. "Drop everything and run," Ramona burst out. Mrs. Whaley, who was not the sort of teacher who expected everyone to raise a hand before speaking, laughed and said, "Almost right, Ramona, but have you forgotten we are talking about reading?" "Drop everything and read," chorused the rest of the class. Ramona felt silly. She should have thought of that herself. Ramona decided that she had preferred sustained silent reading to dear, because it sounded more grown up. When time came for everyone to drop everything and read, she sat quietly doing her sustained silent reading. How peaceful it was to be left alone in school. She could read without trying to hide her book under her desk or behind a bigger book. She was not expected to write lists of words she did not know, so she could figure them out by skipping and guessing. Mrs. Whaley did not expect the class to write summaries of what they read either, so she did not have to choose easy books to make sure she could get her summary right. Now, if Mrs. Whaley would leave her alone to draw too, school would be almost perfect. Yes, sustained silent reading was the best part of the day. Howie and Ramona talked it over and after school and agreed as they walked from the bus to his house. There they found two of the new friends he had made at Cedarhurst, school waiting with their bicycles. Ramona sat on the Kemp's front steps, her arms clasped around her knees, her sustained silent reading book of fairy tales beside her, and looked for longing at the boys' two bicycles, while Howie wheeled his bicycle out of the garage. Because Howie was kind and because Ramona was his friend, he asked, "Ramona, would you like to ride my bicycle to the corner and back?" Would she? Ramona jumped up, eager to take a turn. "Just once," said Howie. Ramona mounted the bicycle, and while the three boys silently watched, teetered and wobbled to the corner without falling off. Having to dismount to turn the bicycle around was embarrassing, but riding back was easier. At least she didn't wobble quite so much, and she managed to dismount as if she were used to doing so. All I need is a little practice, thought Ramona, as Howie seized his bicycle and rode off with his friends, leaving her with nothing to do but pick up her book and join Willa Jean in the house. Remember, she does not like Willa Jean. Willa Jean gives her problems because she's a sassy 4-year-old. What do you think Willa Jean and Ramona will be up to? Stay tuned. We'll continue reading tomorrow, as long as Ben Good works. All right, friends. Stay groovy. Have a great day.